Oh. 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 Sairam, everyone. Just to recap what we were discussing last week so that we can continue on. Swami is talking about everything in this world having a subtle aspect within us. Anything which we see in this gross world has something subtle in it, which is actually present within us. And Swami goes on to give various examples. And he says that the Hridaya Akasha, which is within us, the space of heart, contains everything in this world. That's where we were last week. I think maybe we can read that section again once more, Sister Kalyani, and then.
Bhakta. Well then, Swami, we see the gross firmament, the Stula Akasa. Has it a subtle Akasa also? Swami. My dear boy, all this exists in that subtle Akasa. The subtle Akasha is as imperceptible and as all-pervading as the gross Akasha. Bhakta. What is its name, Swami? Swami. It is known as the Sukshma Hridayakasha, the subtle firmament of the heart. Bhakta. How can that be all-pervading? Swami. Nothing else possesses the extent, the area, the breadth that this Hridayakasha has. See how many scenes, how many feelings, how many conjectures are immersed and embedded in it.
So I think this is exactly what I was talking about. If anyone had some thoughts from the last week, you can share, please, Sairam. Okay, if not, Sister Kapli can continue on this.
Sorry, I know you explained it last time, but do you mind just recapping again what exactly is the Hridayakasha and why is it referring to the heart? Is it like our spiritual heart or?
Okay, I think last week, I think Brother Sivadas also had mentioned. Swami says Hridaya is nothing but Atma. There is one, in one of his Swami's discourse, Swami splits it. You know, there are a couple of ways Swami has split the word Hridaya. Hridaya is, Swami says, Hridaya, where there's love, compassion, that becomes Hridaya. Swami has also broken that word into Hridi Ayam. Ayam means he. In Hridi, he. When in your heart there is Lord, that becomes Hridaya. Sometimes there is also thought, you know, our mind has something called Chitta. It means it's all Antakarana. It's Swami was used the word Antakarana also. In an instrument. Inner instrument functions as a buddhi, it sometimes functions as the manas, it sometimes functions as chitta, sometimes it functions as it has four functions. So my understanding is that chittam, which is actually filled with all vasanas. Okay, this is my understanding. Chittam, which is with all sorts of things, have to be cleansed. That which is called Chitta Shuddhi. Once the Chitta Shuddhi happens, then that is filled with love. We have one container only. That it's a subtler container that because it's when the mind takes vasanas, it becomes gross. When all that is removed, it becomes subtle. And so that Swami has also said right side there is a heart, and you know there are various ways Swami has tried to explain so that we can visualize it. But ultimately, it's a very subtle form of ourselves, which is nothing but the Atman, which is the Hridaya Akasha. That's a space which expands everywhere. Space, when we say, we think it's a sky or universal space, but in the subtle form, it is it's not necessarily the same, I guess. It is a space where everything exists. If that only within the Lord everything exists. And then again, Swami has already said, what we see and what we can even perceive is only 1/4 of that whole thing, Paramatman. So my understanding, Hridaya Akasha is same as the Atman. At least that's what we can perceive, at least imagine. I don't think we can perceive, we can imagine. I will open it up for others to share any thoughts they may have on this side. Okay, I guess there is, I think we can move on if there is a side. Unless you have another, follow. I hope it is not, that is my understanding. You don't take that as the final truth, but that's my understanding. So.
No, that clarifies it. Thank you. Bhakta, then have we a sun also in that subtle sky? Swami, of course. Who said no? Without that, how can there be all this splendor, all this light and wisdom and brightness? Bhakta, what is its name, Swami? Swami, when the heart is the Akasha, the sun naturally is the buddhi, or the intellect that illuminates the sky. The effulgence of the buddhi is as bright as the rays of the sun. So the subtle sun is buddhi.
I think Swami is sort of, not I think, Swami wants us to understand that everything which we see outside, there is something comparable within us. And I think Swami is trying to make us understand that. Because we may see, if there's nothing in I think earlier on Swami has also said, the world is nothing but a mirror. Vishwam Dharpanama, Swami has talked about that also. So that means everything in us is reflected in the world outside. And Swami has also said, what is outside is only to help you understand what is within. And that's also a statement which we already came across. So Swami is trying to make us understand that there is something inside us comparable to everything which we see. And Swami, in this case, Swami is talking about buddhi. The discriminative faculty within us is the sun, which illuminates everything. So Sahiram, I will stop here. If anyone has something to add, please go.
I think the statements usually often we talk about what is in the anda is all that is in the anda is in the panda also. So that's always often we use that statement. So I think that is what Swami is saying.
Can I just ask a clarification? Because we just talked about how the Hridayakasha is the sky, and here Swami saying the sun or the buddhi illuminates that sky. But isn't it kind of the other way around? Isn't the Atman the one that that the buddhi is reflecting?
Very good question, sister. I will ask anyone to comment on this, please. So I think your question is, if I try to rephrase it, you're saying if Hridaya is the Atman, the sun of buddhi, if that is illuminating, isn't that the one which is illuminating? Isn't that the question? Yes. So if how can the Atman be illuminated by buddhi? Is your question. Is the sun. Okay, Sairam. So I will open it up for discussion, Sai.
Sairam, as we discussed last week, this Hridaya Akasa can be taken one step below the Atma. One degree below the Atma level. So subtle, instead of gross, it is subtle area, a finer area. So the finer area, subtler area within us should be clear of blemishes, clear of dirt. So in the Gayatri Mantra also, we are asking this buddhi to illuminate, we are asking the God to eliminate this buddhi. So this subtle space which is just next to, downward next to Atma, should be clear of all dirts. And finally, we will merge in the Atma. This space will get merged in the Atma. That will be our Brahma Nirvana at last. So in this area, in this vast sky, the inner firmament, especially the Baba was saying in the following paragraphs also, the moon is love. He says love. So inside the moon which is inside in the form of love. So that in that area we have to live in that inner space, inner sky, until we leave this, until we get liberation. We have to live in that space, showing love, educating people, making them understand. So this is an area where we do our spiritual sadhana, service and everything. Then this also will get merged in the final Brahman Nirvana. So this is what I was just thinking, but others and brothers also can comment on this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sairam, my understanding is, no, all what Brother Shivadas and Arun said it's all this thing, but when in spiritual parlance or Swami, and we often use certain words little in little bit different meanings that we do all the time. Even the word Atma, we have been in the spiritual field, though Swami, or when we study here, the Atman is always synonymous with Brahman, whatever, but usually so many other words also used in little bit different meanings. So when Swami says Hridaya, Atman, Brahman, all synonymous, that is at one level. But when it is at Hridaya Akasha, we don't have to take it exactly as this thing. And also these analogies, as Brother Shivadas has been telling, these analogies like sun, moon, and all that, to get a little bit insight into that, we should not try to fit exactly one-to-one everything. It is just to give a deep insight. That's what I think. So, yeah, Sairam.
Sairam, brother.
Sairam. Swami says that I am the Brahman, not Swami is the Brahman. He's above everything else. Then Swami says that the sun is Buddhi. That Brahman, that God is given that all illumination to that sun, moon, everything. You know, that's under control by the God. That so that sun or moon or anything get that power from that God. My understanding that, and that's no doubt that the Atma is giving that power to that Buddhi. That's my understanding. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam. Thank you.
So my understanding is I can put some input also. You have to think like a virtual place. So in that virtual place, even a Hridaya is not physical. Sometimes some people might think it's a physical part. It's a virtual place. Even Hanuman, so open that heart, that means his virtual place. Then he saw that Sita, Rama is there. So, then all the 5 elements you will see in this place. So some people might ask, okay, where is the sun? Then that's what Swami is saying, that whatever, for an example, you have to understand that Buddhi is the bright as the rays of the sun. So if you started to think about virtually, then you will get better understanding too. Thank you, Saira.
Saira, brother. Anyone else? So maybe I will add my pieces to it. So if you look at the sky, if you look at our universe space, our sun has a function to play. The sun is a small object, and the space which we see outside is so vast. If the sun is not there, we won't be able to see how far the space is. The reality is, if the Hridayakasha is Atman, and only that exists, the Hridayakasha does not need itself to be illuminated for itself. That means Atman doesn't need illumination to know itself. But if someone who is in Ajnana, who cannot even fathom, needs Buddhi. See, for example, we are in this earth, we are small, we don't know understand anything. For us to look at the sky or to the world, we need the sun. Okay, the sun is a minuscule of a thing in this entire Hridayakasha. But that sun helps us who don't know the Atman, or who don't know the Hridayakasha, who don't know the space, for us to see. Atman does not need illumination. It's the one who does not know needs illumination. So the Buddhi, that's all it is. Earlier on, Swami has Buddhi itself is Jada. Buddhi is actually reflecting the light coming from the Atman. So if we ask, if this universal space is there, how does the sun get its light? Because the sun which we see itself is a part of that Akasha. Because everything exists in that Akasha. It is only when there is duality, you need something else to look at something else. The Akasha, if we are the Atman, we don't need anything outside to tell us that we are the Atman. We don't need to even look at us. So only there's an external entity that has to look. So the illumination comes into play only as long as there is duality. Okay, this the space doesn't need anyone. It's the sunlight to see itself. Okay, but we human beings need sunlight. So as long as that is my understanding. Okay, the concept of illumination itself comes into play only when there is ignorance. When there's no ignorance, there's no need for illumination, because you are light itself. Again, when we say Hridaya Akasha, we think it's an empty space. Swami says everything is there. That is also effulgence. The sun is only a small part of that effulgence which is filled in this Akasha. So that's my understanding. We should not think that the Hridaya Akasha is without illumination. It is illumination itself. Okay, so that's my understanding. I hope that all compliments I have.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We can move on, sister. I think we looked at it last week. So.
Sorry, when Swami is talking about all of these subtle things like the Hridaya Akasha, he's referring to the entire everything? Like he's not just talking about this one person, is he?
Everything. If you see something bad, Swami says it is in you. If it's something good in others, that is in you. So that's what Swami says. So, every single person in the study circle is also within us. Okay. We may not realize.
Bhakta, then it is possible that the moon also in subtle form is in the Akasha of the heart? Swami, why do you ask about all these one by one? Did I not tell you at the beginning itself? Every gross name and form has its corresponding subtle form and name. The moon in its subtle form is prema, with its cool rays pleasing to the heart. Love is a subtle form of the moon.
I think you asked the question and Swami has answered. It looks like there's nothing much for me to add. I will open it up for discussion. Sorry. So I think we can move on. I think there is similar analogies are going to come anyway. I don't know if anyone has something to ask. Otherwise, we can move on unless somebody has something to share.
Bhakta, excuse me, Swami. The Pandavas and the Kauravas waged a war, isn't it? How are they supposed to have waged the subtle war, these subtle Pandavas and their opposite number, the subtle Kauravas? Swami, why do you say supposed to have waged? They are waging it even today in the subtle form. In this war, the evil qualities are the Kauravas, the good qualities, Satya, Dharma, Shanti, inner peace, Prema, and Ahimsa, nonviolence, are the 5 Pandava brothers. The evil qualities are many, and so the Kauravas too are a horde, each one under his own Hridayakasha, on his own Chidbhumi, causal world, is waging this struggle every moment.
Okay, thank you very much, sister. So as we can see, Swami is even the scriptures which we read, even the stories like the Mahabharata, Swami says is happening within us. And we need the whole purpose of even the story itself to understand the process within us, is what Swami is saying. And as we can see, the Mahabharata war, we think it historically happened, some 5,000 years ago. Maybe in the gross manner it may have happened, but Swami says it is happening within us, even now, continuing to happen to everyone until the victory is reached, until the Lord makes us win that war. So that's what Swami has said. So I will just stop here. I will ask others to share their thoughts.
So, Sairam brother, look like Swami is saying we have more evil qualities than the good qualities. So you have to work on that one. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam.
When Swami is saying each one under his own Hridayakasha, what does he mean by that? Like our own Hridayakasha?
Anyone would like to share? Otherwise, I will go first and then maybe others can share their thought. See, each one means we ourselves with the Akasha, I think, but within that Akasha, if there's Atman, there's a Bhumi, there's an earth. And within that, on that earth, there's fire. Even here, we have sky up, there's earth, and that's where everything is happening. So Swami says, within us also, there is, when we say earth, everything related to the world. Okay. Any worldly thoughts within worldly area of us, we, in this world, we have spiritual endeavors, earthly endeavors, which all happening within the mind. So whenever there is earth or the world is involved, that is the Chit Bhumi, Swami says. Bhumi is earth. And Swami says, this Chit, again, Swami has used the word Chit. Sat Chit, and that Chit has its own Bhumi. within that, so there's an earthly element within us. On that earthly element, this war is happening because each one is looking for territory. The bad has taken over the territory, so the good has to fight. And whether Jnani or I think anyone, this war will continuously go on within us. And I think that's what Swami is referring to. So there are, just like the sun, buddhi is there, there's mind is also there, moon. Then there's an earthly element within us. I think that's what Swami is referring to. So I will stop. Others can share their thoughts.
Sairam, can you check with the Telugu word or whatever? The Chit Bhumi here is translated as causal world within the bracket. Is that correctly, exactly same?
I will look, brother. I think others can.
Yeah, Sairam, usually as Brother Vimalesan says, it belongs to subtle world. So that usually mind, chitta, and mind, chitta, and ego, buddhi. But here, chit, they are using chit, not chitta. So chit belongs to the kosher. Chit belongs to.
So sorry, brother. Swami has used the word chitta.
Chitta, then it should connote to subtle world.
Yes, Swami has used the word chitta bhumi. So I think brother Vimalesan is right, because chit, through what Swami says is chitta, through chidabhasam becomes chitta akasha. So the chit sort of devolves into chitta. I don't know whether you all remember, Swami talked about chitta, chidakasham, chitta akasham, bhuta akasham before. So here I think Swami is referring to chitta bhumi.
Brother, chitta means it is one of the four, no, antakarnas, no?
Yes.
But within bracket they put causal words. So
I know the translation is very completely grossly, it's grossly incorrect, inaccurate. We saw, if you go through Sandeha Nivarini, there are quite a few places the translation does not do justice. And that's one reason, I thought, we had to go to Telugu. And so then it becomes clear, because in the Chit world, there is no fight.
Yeah.
In the Chitta world, there is duality and there's fight.
Yeah. So
very good question by Brother from Malaysia. Thank you, brother.
So, Sairam, brother, so can we think about like this, the world, when you are in the deep sleep, you don't look at the world. So when you open the eye, you see the world. So the world is the one struggle for every moment. When you're out of the world, you are out of the struggle. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother.
Sairam, so in this Hirdayagasa, there is an earth, okay, which is Chitta. Chitta Bhumi is an earth. So, Chitta means subconscious. English translation, not very accurate, but somewhat equivalent is this one, subconscious mind. Actually, all bad things, all samskaras and vasanas are in the chitta, in the subconscious mind, and they are fighting each other, and good and bad are fighting inside the chitta. So this the Hridayagasa is somewhat between Atma and world. So it is in that area is in the middle, but closer to Atma in the middle. So in that area we see sun, we see moon, and we see the earth, which is the Chittam. So in the Chittam, and the people are fighting. Good forces and bad forces are fighting. That's why, so the Kauravas and Pandavas are there in the Chittam, subconscious mind, and waging the war every moment. Thank you, Sairam. This is what I was thinking. Thank you, Sairam.
And Swami's often statement, everything is reaction, reflection, resound, that we can think about that, I think, in this context. So that's what, as Brother Arun earlier said. So it's whatever the outside situation, someone who is totally pure and with the Atman within will not see anything bad outside. That is how even Ramana Maharshi used to say that. And that's a story of, I think, Drona or someone asked Arjuna and, Dharmaraja and Duryodhana to see a bad person and good person. And, that story everyone knows, I guess. So all that illustrate this point, I think. Sairam.
Sairam, brother.
Can we say that, is this directly related to what we learned about with the Chittakasa, and Buddhakasa? So is the Chitta Bhumi the same thing as Buddhakasha, and then the Chittakasha? No, actually, I'm not sure what that is. But then Hridayakasha, is that Chiddakasha?
Yeah, my understanding is, sister, Chiddakasha and Hridayakasha, Swami is using synonymously. In the Chittakasha, which is a little more less subtle than the Chit Akasha, which is Chitta Akasha, which is Antakarana, which is mind, vasanas, buddhi, ahankara, all of them are. That is a subtle, subtle body, I think we can say. That's what Swami is referring to, is my understanding. So within that subtle body, there are 5 elements also. There's earth element, there is water element. All that's also within that Chitta Akasha also that exists. And so that because there are 5 elements, there is earth element also in our mind, or in the Chitta Akasha. Just the way Akasha space is there, that means there are those 5 other 4 are also present in that space, is my understanding. I hope that's what your question was.
So here the Chitta Bhumi, is that kind of like the Chittakasha?
Equivalent, yes. The Bhumi equivalent in the Chitta Akasha world, if you want. As it's like the dream. It's the earth you see in your dream. Okay, you are dreaming within that Chitta Akasha when you are sleeping or dreaming, and there's a world. There is, you see, go to cities and everywhere, which is like the Chitta Bhumi. That's where we walk around in our dream state, is my understanding. Others can share their thoughts. I think we can read on, because I think the next 2-3 slides will give us a better understanding, and we can even come back and discuss if anyone feels better.
Bhakta, Swami, they say the Pandavas are children of the king Pandu, and the Kauravas are the offspring of the king Dhritarashtra. In the subtle form, how are we to recognize them? Swami, both are disputants for the kingship of the self-same heart. They are in everyone as Ajnani and Sutjnani, the unwise personality and the wise personality. The unwise, blind ruler is Dhritarashtra. The wise Pandu is the father of all good qualities. Have you understood? Bhakta. But then, Swami, excuse me, in that war, there were millions of soldiers and chariots, and the subjects, who are they in the subtle conflict? Swami, of course, they are all there in man. The million feelings and thoughts and impressions are the soldiers and subjects. The 10 indriyas are their regiments. The 5 senses are the chariots. In everyone's heart, there is this perpetual war being fought between good and evil, between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Is that clear?
Thank you very much, sister. So Swami is sort of pointing out that the Ajnana is also there, Sujnana is also within us. And each of those have their own kith and kin and children and offsprings. And that's where the fight is going on. After all, they're cousins, they are all born within us. Now I will open it up for discussion.
Sai Ram, in the Swami's answer, Swami indicated that there are 2 types of Nyanis in this particular context, Ajnani and the Sujnani. And is this the reason we also call Jnani to differentiate from these 2? Because when we call Jnani, always, it's Jnani is the one who has the Jnanam, wisdom. So we always call Jnani. So this may be the reason we call Jnani, because there are, today I learned there is a Sujnani is the wise personality, that's the worldly wise things, or it's different from the the wise people or very intelligent people or intellectual people. That's the one it's categorized as here is the Sujnani.
Thank you, sister. I will open it up for any responses, please.
Usually, these words are synonyms. Usually, Jnani, Sunyani, even Vinyani, Menyani. Usually, it connotes synonym. But as Sister Anandi said, because the Sunyani is Pandu is represented by Sunyani. Pandu is Sunyani here. So Pandu's children, Satyam Dharma Shanti Prema Ahimsa, these are Pandu's children. So the Sunyani here denotes a step down, a degree down from the real Jnani, something like that. But here, what the main thing is that one is good, one is bad. So Ajnani has 101 children and Sunyani has 5 children, and Ajnani as the ruler, as Dhritarashtra, and Sunyani as the ruler. Both are within us, but so there is also Sunyani as the ruler as Pandu. And the fight is going on, but yeah, there is a subtle difference between Sunyani and Menyani, because Menyani will not have even good qualities because he would have transcended the Sattva Guna aspect. Here Sunyani denotes the Sattva Guna aspect. So this argument is correct. It looks correct. So thank you, Sairam, but this is what I could say, but others can expand on it. Thank you.
I think in Sanskrit, so
means good.
When the prefix so comes, for that, I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong, that means it's good. So in a way, in this context, Ajnani and Sunyani, good and bad, dharmic and adharmic, we can take it that way also, because but yeah, so Sairam.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Sai Ram is just to share my, I would say from the childhood, how whenever we talk about Dhritarashtra and Pandu, what comes, uh, my parents always used to say that parents should not be blind as Dhritarashtra, so blind in their kids' love that they favor their kids and not because we always used to tell you to argue with our parents that you should favor us, you always tell other kids are better than us and blah blah blah, and they said we are not Dhritarashtra, we don't want to be blind, totally in love with you, what is right, what is right, what is wrong. So I'm so glad to see how my first guru with my parents, how they grew us up, that we should not be Dhritarashtra, blind as him. Sairam.
Sairam, sister, Sairam.
So Sairam brother, here my understanding is Pandavas only 5, other side is 100. So 100 bad qualities, but even though 100 bad qualities can win by 5 good qualities. That is my understanding. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam. Anyone else would like to? So just one. Sorry, yes, please go ahead, Kalyan.
Oh, I guess this is a different question, but I just wanted an explanation on why the 10 Indriyas are considered the regiments and the 5 senses the chariots.
Okay. I'll first, I'll just comment and then I will open it for others to comment on the Indriya question. I think Sister Ananthi, I think other brothers have nicely said it. I just want to highlight that Menyani is a Tamil word, and the equivalent in English, in Sanskrit, is Brahmajnani, one who knows the Brahma. Here, it's Anjani and Sujani, as brothers have already said, it's in the field of duality, where you see good and bad, whereas Brahmajnani sees everything as Brahman. Here, one person knows what is good, what is godly. The other person is ignorant of that. That's my understanding. Thank you. Now we'll go to Sister Kalyani's question. Why are the 10 Indriyas the regiments, and why are the 5 senses the chariots? Anyone who has some thoughts?
Sairam, I just want to say about this, Kalyani, this sort of questions. Our logical mind always wants answers in a way, in a logical sequence, this thing. But this is my understanding, maybe. But when we talk about spiritual matters, Swami explained things like this. I think what Swami trying to say, what the spiritual point he is trying to drive home is much more important than trying to fix word to word or analogy to analogy. Is much more important what's spiritual point he is trying to drive home. Because I think that these are just is using these type of analogies to drive home strongly a strong spiritual point, I think. So other than that, I think I have expressed what I am trying to say. Sairam.
Sairam, brother Sairam. Anyone else would like to comment?
Sairam, so 10 Indriyas, I believe that Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas, I think. So, and senses are, of course, dragging person, so it can be compared to chariots. And these, on the chariot or in the chariot, are these Indriyas, the Solias or leader of the Solias, there, and fight is going on. So the senses are pulling, so they are compared to the chariots. But so they are fighting, Indriyas are fighting. So these are fighting. That's something, that's what I just thought of that, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So maybe I will go. I think what Brother Brahmalesan said this idea. It's because in the spiritual parlance, in the Sanatana Dharma tradition, when they use these words like Pancha, Dasha, so Swami has used the word Dashendriya and Panchendriya. So when we say Dashendriya, we may just count, there are 10. And we may say Pancha means 5. I think it is a little more than that, as Brother mentioned, because Dasha does not, like, for example, let's take the 5 in the 5 senses. Generally, we will say the 5 Jnanendriyas as the 5 senses. Generally, that's a normal. It does not necessarily mean just 5, because there's a process called Panchikritam, I think Swami may be talking about it later, or he has spoken about it. These five elements in this world multiply. So the multiply in many different ways, and those are actually the sattvic side of the 5 senses. Because each sense, if you take, it has various qualities. It has sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, and so on. So when we say 5 indriyas, they are generally the sattvic qualities of all the indriyas. Indriyas can be innumerable, but they all have this. If we say sight, is it just it is not, the act of seeing itself is sight. So it can have multiple visions. We can see various things. All of them are covered there. So I think Swami uses the word chariots because they move fast. Chariots are they run the show in a war. Whereas the Shainyam, or Swami says the regiments, will be fighting in different places. But the whole war is pushed forward or backward is by the chariots, which run very fast. There can be elephants, there can be, all the others, people on foot, and so foot soldiers and so on. So I think Swami just wants to highlight that Indriyas travel fast. The Jnanendriyas travel fast. I think that's what he wants us to understand. But then there are all the other qualities which don't move fast. They're also fighting along. I think so. It is. I wouldn't go with the number because for example, in Purusha Suktam, Sahasraksha Sahasrapad, for example, there it said the Lord has 1,000 eyes and 1,000 feet. 1,000 faces and all that. Then we can see if he has 1,000 faces, is there one eye per face? Or are there 2? What about 1 foot? Like that. Swami says Sahasra means, it basically means many. It does not necessarily give a particular number. I think so. Swami, in my understanding, Swami is just referring to senses which move fast, like the chariots, and all the other sensual faculties which we have within us. They are the regimen with which we fight. I think that's my understanding. I hope you can pick and choose what all of us have said and whatever makes sense to you. So I hope that answers the question. Okay. Kalyani, you have another question, Mr. Truksa.
No, I think that makes sense. So when we talk about the 5 senses, it's the senses of like sight, hearing, touch, those things. And then the 10 indriyas refer to like the karmendriyas, I guess it's like the ability to grasp and those kind of things.
Organs, yeah.
Organs of action.
Organs,
like
organs are indriyas.
Speech, hands, like feet, and things like that.
So those are kind of the people doing the fighting, like the tools or the instruments, actually engaged in the battle. Okay.
Exactly.
Some of the karmendriyas, I feel like they're not really engaged in any battle. They're just kind of like the digestion or whatever, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, they all aid in the process, Because there is, Swami, for example, one example I will give, and then for example, Swami says the hearing is the sattvic aspect of the sound, sound, or the akashic element in us. The akasha space, the element of sattvic nature is our hearing. Swami says the rajas, or the one which acts, is our speech.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can see what is tamas means, then you can go on, something like, but Swami has given these two. For example, I thought I would just mention. So you can imagine the different aspects of the senses. The elements become different things.
So Sairam brother, even that 5 elements, five senses was given to understand the spirituality and the God. Even if you take the eye, you can use it for the good purpose or that bad purpose. So if you engage in good qualities, that is, then you have given tools to fight against to that one. Then you can understand the concept what Swami is saying too. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much. Because you are very, very, very nicely put, brother. For example, the chariots, they have a chariots on the Pandava side and they have a chariots on the Kaurava side. Then you can see there were more chariots than 5. Okay. So the bad qualities also use the same chariots. And the good qualities also use the chariots. So exactly as brother said, which quality uses the chariot is what matters. And if the good qualities used, then we are good. If the bad qualities use the chariot, thank you very much, brother. Okay, we can move on to the next slide.
Bhakta, well, who is Lord Krishna in the subtle war? He who was then neutral in that struggle for power. Swami, don't you know? He is the witness known as Atma. He is Sarathi of the chariot of the Jiva. Bhakta, another question. All these people had Hastinapura as their capital then. In man, which is the Hastinapura? Swami, the basis for all these subtle manifestations, these men, chariots, Pandavas, and Kauravas, is, as you know, this Astinapura, the city of bones, this body. This skeleton is Astinapura. Both have 9 gates. There, both the Kauravas and the Pandavas were born. They played and were trained there. They grew up together there. So also, in this same Astinapura, all the qualities good and bad are born and do grow. They develop and subside. They watch and hate each other, all in the same body. Are not the warring rulers in this body also Ajnani and Sujnani, the unwise personality and the wise personality?
Beautiful.
I will open it up for, there's nothing for me to add. I will ask the members to discuss whatever you have.
Only one point I would like to, or maybe one question. The Sarathi or Sanadana Sarathi, the witness, is in the war. Actually, the Mahabharata voice Krishna, and in the subtle voice Atma. But though we say is witness, is he in a subtle way at least? In the war also, Krishna didn't take any arms and physically did fight, but he was just the witness. But he was guiding as a charioteer, Arjuna. So we say Atma is just the witness in very subtle way at least, is guiding us in the subtle war. If he, so what I'm trying to ask is, the question is he 100% witness, or is he trying to help good qualities? If he's trying to good qualities, then he's not a pure witness, isn't he? So I would like to someone enlighten this.
I also agree with Brother Vimalesan. In this context, I would say, if we take the Lord Krishna, he was the director of the Mahabharatam, or that whole, the whole war and the Kurukshetra war and everything. Even though he's told as the witness, he was the director or the guider of the war. He goes to both sides, and sometimes very technically, they uses his the guidance in order to win the war to the Pandavas. So that's why even though the Atma is the witness, maybe sometimes Atma could be a director too. That's a very interesting point. When we have something, good thing or bad thing, in our mind, we have a lot of war. It's a mind war. Even in the family disputes, or the friends dispute, we would be having the real war in our mind, whether I should be telling or I shouldn't be telling. I should open the mouth or not open the mouth, keep silence, or all kind of things. So that's a very, very interesting point. Thank you, Sai.
Sai Rama, very good, both Vimalesan and Sister Anandi. But I am just not maybe not directly to that, to your things, but the Atma, Krishna is an incarnation coming down to the earth to help the good people to establish righteousness in the country. So in the mind, in the man's mind, the avatar can for us, Sai is the avatar. So in our mind, Sai will help us help our good qualities to fight against the bad qualities. But even though he looks like taking part in the war, as Brother Vimalesan said, he's like witness, because he's not fighting, and he's not fighting comparatively. He's not fighting. So only helping the good. Putting helping the good side. So that's the thing. Yeah, they're very. What I'm telling is, the absolute Parabrahman is the real witness. Absolute Parabrahman is the real witness. But here, he comes as an incarnation to support the good in the form of Krishna or Sai. So there's something different status for the Parabrahman and the Avatar. Avatar maybe it looks like he's acting. It looks like he's acting. Okay. Thank you, Saira.
Saira. Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead. I think Krishna's time, there is a bad quality people, the Pandavas one side, the other side is like a bad and good is a different side. But in Sai Avatar is the same person, is both inside. I think the consciousness is the Manachachi, always tell us what is good, what is bad. I think in the meantime, witnessing and also is we can, through wisdom and intellect, we can understand what is good and what is bad. The same thing is inside is telling us too. That's what I understand, Sairam.
Ram, just to add one line, there's a one line in Ashtotra Sadanamavali, Om Sri Sai Sukjnana Marka Dashakaya Namaha. That means Swami is with us to show us the path of attaining the right knowledge or right conduct. Thank you, Sairam.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Sairam, I just wanted to understand what is Swami is referring here. Both have 9 gates.
Yeah.
That part I'm trying to read and trying to understand. I couldn't get it. Thank you, Sairam.
That is very. Can I say that one, brother?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It looks. We have in the body. The asthina means skeleton and the bones. But our body made of bones, so our body is the Hastinavara. Even though skeleton is the real meaning, so body itself is Hastinavara, whatever. So Hastinavara, our body has 9 holes: 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 2 ears, 2
excreta.
2 excreta area. So altogether there are 9 holes. So in the real Hastinapura, in the real city also, there are 9 gates according to this, and I read it somewhere else also. The real Hastinapura, the physical Hastinapura that was there in those days, had 9 gates. That city also had 9 gates. So that's why he said both have 9 gates. Am I correct, brother?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now I understand. The Astinapuram had the 9 gates. So
real Hastinapura, yeah.
So he's relating like that. Okay, thank you so much.
So Sairam, brother, my understanding is Asnapura, you can take it as this world. We all born this world. We all have same. There's no difference. So Atma is the same one. So here, so we have the good qualities and bad qualities. How you raise, how you develop, how you train, that is the way you can achieve the goal. So if you are in the bad qualities, you end up with into the ditch. If you develop, so here the Pandavas, they all train properly by their parents, and they learn by the gurus, and they listen. Here, other side, then even the parents didn't taught them properly, and they never respect even the parents. Finally, they all 100 kids died. This is my understanding too. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, I would like to just point out this in this context. I thought it's useful and may shed some light. So they say that Idigasa Mahabharata is one of the Idigasa, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So Idigasa is neither history nor neither actual history, no Purana, no mythology. Puranas are mythology. So Idigasa is neither that nor this. It's in between. So there are some historical aspects, but so that's why. So Swami Ramayana also Swami has been explaining in this allegorical way. So as well as said, so actual city has 9 gates. So something. So it gives place for both views. So I think it's good to think of that also. Yeah. And for my question, as Brother Shivara said, I think the Parabrahman beyond all that is the absolute witness. And like Krishna, like Swami, whatever the Atma within us, will always help us in our spiritual progress if we genuinely try. But at the same time, Krishna though he was supporting Pandavas and all that, he was not affected. Even when bad things happened to all that. So since he is the Brahman and Atman, so he is not affected by just human beings. So that way, I think we can say still Krishna is witness and Atma is a witness as well. Sairam.
Sairam,
Yes,
is
go
there
on.
anything else Swami is trying to say? Both have 9 gates, like that is, he's giving a strength to that word. So it does means anything else also for that? No, or just saying 9 gates here, then body also has 9 gates. What's that some Swami is trying to tell with us? That's what I'm trying. Thank you, Sairam.
Silence. I think first, okay, I will just address, I will just talk about what Brother Ubalesan asked, and then we'll go to Sister Aruna's question. Yes, in this war of Mahabharata war, generally the tendency we think is Krishna was trying to help Pandavas. He was not very impartial. It just generally, that's the way most people are writing. But you should understand that when Duryodhana and Arjuna went, Krishna asked, "What do you all want?" And Arjuna chose Krishna, and Duryodhana chose his army. And Krishna gave his army. We all don't understand that Krishna's army, his own people were fighting on the Kaurava side. Okay, and so he is a witness in the sense, I think, he only responds to our own request. He did not want neither the Pandavas to win nor the Kauravas to lose. He just wanted what's the best. And he just responded to their ask. Even Arjuna, whenever he asked a question only, Krishna spoke. Whenever he went with a problem, he solved it. He gave the ideas to solve. He did not act. And I think that's why Swami says he's a Sakshi Buddha. If somebody asks him a question, he will give the answer. If somebody asks what is right, what is wrong, he will say what is right, what is wrong. Of course, whenever there was a problem, they went to Krishna and he gave the solution. To that extent, he was just a witness. He is not an indifferent, inactive observer. No. He was also taking part to the extent people sought his help. Even Duryodhana asked his help, he gave whatever help he asked. Pandavas asked help, he gave. Arjuna asked questions, so it is a very active witness. Active in the sense he will help us. He personally did not do any action other than driving the chariot. The only thing he said is he controlled the senses of Arjuna, who basically submitted to him. He said, "Krishna, I want you to drive." So he drove. If he didn't ask, he would not do that also. That's, I think, Krishna. So that's my understanding. Now we'll go to Sister Anand.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we'll go to Sister Anand, Sister Aruna's question about the 9 gates. Why is Swami stressing on the 9 gates? So I will open it up for discussion. I think it's a very good point. No word of Swami is just not without any merit or a lot of significance. It's a very good question, sister. Okay, others are not going, so maybe I will go. See, for a city, everything enters through the gates. And so if the gates are not guarded, there's a problem. The city itself is in danger. So Swami says each of our gates have to be properly guarded. We should not let anything enter through those gates. Whether eyes, whether ears, whether nose or mouth, they have to be very strongly guarded if the city is to be very safe and secure. And anything which is bad has to be sent out through the gates also. So I think that's what Swami is referring to. We need to keep guarding the gates which open up into our city. If we think there's a problem within us, bad thoughts are coming, all this, things have come from somewhere. So what you see, what you hear, what you eat, or whatever you consume has to be properly checked and only then let inside. I think that's what Swami is referring to. So we have to pay attention to the gates.
Again, that's very good point. As gates of the fortress or city has to be extremely carefully guarded, like that we have to guard all our senses and all the 9 gates inside them.
Sairam, the very good explanation, brother. No, yeah, and also in the door also we, we studied in that union with God. That's the key. We turn in the right way and the wrong way too. Even doors, God side and the other worldly side also, and the bad side and good side also. That is our responsibility to, which side we are turning into. Sairam.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. If there's no other questions or comments, maybe we'll just read the next slide, and maybe we won't be able to discuss it, but I thought you just take it away. I think there's already enough, but I think there's a few things which Swami is talking in the next slide. We'll just read and go. Yes.
Bhakta, yes, Swami, there is an intimate connection between the Mahabharata war and the qualities and conduct of man. Really, the relationship is there, without doubt. What a fine comparison. As you said, this type of warfare is taking place in everyone, even now. Well, Swami, when will this war end? Swami, when will this war end, you ask? When both bad qualities and good qualities fade out and man becomes quality-less. Then alone can man have Shanti. Bhakta, at that time, this battlefield, this Astinapura, the city of bones, will not exist, is it? Swami, when there is a battle, there must be a battlefield. When you have no battle, why bother about a field?
Thank you very much, sister. I think this answers many of our questions. The reality is, and the thing is, at the end of the Mahabharata war, not too many people were left. Everyone was wiped out. As Swami says, we had to become qualityless. Even the Pandavas lost a lot. The Kauravas also lost. So the real victory is without any qualities. When people think Mahabharata war was a waste, everyone died, including the Pandavas and their children and everyone. So as Swami says, so you really know what Krishna was up to. He was just making sure there was no quality left in us. So then there's total peace. So if anyone has something to say, please share your thoughts.
So basically, this body is unnecessary wasting time in struggling, all these, Maya and jealousy and all of those things. We don't have much time, so why to struggle? And that's why we have this bodily ailment and mental health and all these issues are coming, because we are continuously fighting. So if we stop fighting, we are just in peace.
Brother, in this one thing also we can think about, when we have to fade our good qualities, Swami is saying both bad qualities to be fade is okay. So when like a good qualities, even after the Mahabharata war, Pandavas was there, right? Good qualities was there. So when that need to be faded, that's we have to think. Thanks, Sairam.
Sairam, you said the Pandavas also died, and then end of the war, Krishna also suffered and died. Yeah, I would like to know what is the explanation Swami was telling us. Kunti said, some, that she was crying and saying, "Oh, you also suffer. You are entire, that Krishna side, that war people also, they are Yadav, I think. They also died. Sairam, I would like to know what is the end of that Brahman. Sairam.
So, Sairam, in the last stage, there's no qualities, there's no body. You're Paramatma. Thank you, Sairam, brother.
Actually, Sairam, but the Dharmaraja's rule existed for thousands of years. But brother told is, what brother Arno said is that Pandava's children died and virtually almost everybody died. But Dharmaraja ruled it for many, many years, at the, and Krishna too. But when the Krishna left the body, the Pandavas also decided to leave the body and they started to go towards the forest and died one after the other. So, for a practical purpose, we cannot now give up good qualities, as Sister Aruno correctly put. So we have to kill all bad qualities and keep the good qualities rule us. Then to merge with the Lord, then give up all good qualities, then merge with the Lord. So until this each and every enemy is killed, we have to keep growing good qualities. Then if we are okay, then you can remove the good qualities and merge with God. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, I think what Swami says here in the last two lines and what Brother Aruno said is, as long as we have good qualities and we think we are good or we have good qualities, we will never have real peace. Unless we become, as Swami said, without any qualityless, then only we can have real peace. That is the point Swami is saying, and Brother Aruno said. I think that's the main point we have to understand. Because as long as we are good and we think we are good, or even otherwise we are good, we will be upset whenever we see bad. If we think we are good or we good, so that duality will be. So until we become neither good nor bad, then only there will be real peace. That's what Swami is saying, and brother, I think that's a important point we shouldn't miss. Sairam.
Sairam, I also think when we have the good qualities, at this human level, or unless otherwise, if we have almost to the Atman stage, when we have the good qualities, we also have some sort of proudness. I have these good qualities, and I am very different from other people, and that sort of the mind we would be having. So up until we get rid of those, even that sort of the thing in our mind, then only we would be having the very equilibrium stage that would give us peace. That sort of thing I believe Swami is trying to explain to us.
Sairam, if we have that side, that kind of feeling, then that means we are not good. That's not good. So if he is a really good person, he will not have any feeling, any difference. He will not see, he will not feel any proud or anything. That is the good means. So good means totally good. So, but ultimately, to reach God, we have to give up this good for the world, working for the world, working for the good of the humanity. Everything should be given up before we merge with the Lord. So that's what I am thinking. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And Bhagawan Ramana Maharshi always says that if anyone asks about the condition of the world, what is the solution and all that, that sort of thing. So he says two things, I think. Brother Sivaraj knows much more than me about Ramana Maharshi, but I'm just saying that either there is no world or no other than you, there is one thing. And the other thing is, as long as even a slightest idea that we can improve the world or improve the society, even a slight trace of that is there, we will never have peace. That is the point. So that's what. So I think that we have to understand clearly.
So Sairam, brother, I'd like to bring that one. Brother Aruna always bring that example of the mirror. Say you are the Paramatma. The mirror is the whole world, and Jivatma is the bimba or image. So the reflection. So when you are looking at everything from the world, so when you remove the world, that means the mirror, there's no Jivatma. Then only Paramatma is the only one left. Then that is the time you get the real peace. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much.
Saira, until we realize that we are not the body, we are God. We had to go through everything. We had to fight until the last. Then we don't have the battlefield. That we are much with God on the last. Then we are in peace. Thank you, Saira.
Saira. So for 10:20, I think we can continue unless someone has something to say.
Sairam, I just want to share something. Today we have the Samarpan at 8 to 9:30, and this is Brother Deepak Anand is going to talk. And I just really want to say I had an opportunity to listen to him in person when I was in Puttaparthi 2018 with the same speaker. And it was really inspiring, and it was really good opportunity for me when listening to him. So since I had that great opportunity to listen in person, I just want to share that please do not miss this opportunity tonight at 8 to 9:30 p.m. Thank you, Saira.
Sister. I will just a couple of points, and then I think we'll close. I hope you will permit me. I think that what we can understand is at the end of the war, the Pandavas became qualityless. So what Swami is trying to say is, if we cultivate good qualities, we have a chance of becoming qualityless. The reality is Pandavas lost everything. All their side was lost. But I think at that point in time, they became qualityless. They looked after Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. They were taking care of them also. And so at that point in time, there were no differences even. So I think the end state is being qualityless. And I will also just comment on Sister Ambika's question, why did Krishna suffer and go? I think Swami has already talked earlier, whether it's a jnani or ajnani, the prarabdha karmas will always be there, and their experience is also the same. But however, they will not be affected. They will not think that we are the doer. We are the Atman. Because of their identification with Atman, the world may think that they are suffering. But the jnani, for him, it is just normal things which happen in this world. So that's part of the world of inaction. So I think those thoughts, I thought we will close. If there are further thoughts, we can discuss next week, if it's okay with you all.
Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brothers and sisters, as a sister has mentioned, there's a Samarpan program tonight at 8 to 9:30. This is organized by Sathya Sai students, alumni of Sathya Sai Educational Institution. This is just for small note for anybody didn't know this Samarpan program before. This is the Sai students organized in India and abroad. Here, the Toronto Samarpan group is conducting this Samarpan program. It's a fourth in the Toronto. So please join for this. It's from 8 to 9:30. Thank you, Sairam.
Okay, Sairam, sister. So we will close with the Samastaloka and Shanti. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sai Ram.
Sairam.
Sai Ram.